Hey everyone, and welcome back to my channel. Today is the 18th of July and I thought I'd start the vlog for the second part of this month. So we will get into the second half of my Gamenightathon, which is very exciting. It's a readathon that mainly makes me read short books, so it's going quite well so far. If you want to know more about it, I highly recommend my first July vlog as well, where I showed you the progress so far. But last night I finished another book, so I thought this would be a great place to start. And the book that I finished is The Children of Hurin. I think that's what it's called in English, by Tolkien. Now, this is one of the three stories that is already in the Silmarillion, but got its own book. And in the end of this book, it is also explained how that was always Tolkien's goal, how he wanted to make these three big stories their own versions as well, apart from them being already in the Silmarillion. But he never finished it in his lifetime, and so his son Christopher Tolkien tried to basically finished these books off and published them. So this one is already quite old, even though I feel like I hadn't heard of it for a very long time. This came out in 2007, but I've only been aware of these for a couple of years now. This one also has illustrations by Alan Lee, which is lovely, and someone on Discord said that the original version is read by Christopher Lee as an audiobook, so that also sounds very great. But yeah, this is unfortunately my least favorite Tolkien story I've ever read. I gave this book 3 stars. I already didn't like the story in the Silmarillion, so it's not very surprising, but this is framed to be like a tragic hero story of Turin Turambar, who was cursed basically, or his whole family was cursed by the evil Morgoth. And yeah, it's just it's just not my favorite. You can obviously say, oh, it's so tragic because it's all because of the curse, but honestly, Turin is so insufferable as a character. He is very proud, he's very arrogant, and he does not listen to advice. Like, for him, every good advice is basically a demand, and he is just like, no, I'm gonna do exactly the different thing from what you've advised me because you're cowardly, or you're stupid, or you're disabled, which seems to be like the worst thing you can be in this book. Like, there is at least 2 disabled characters in this. One of them had an accident, and because of that he lost his foot, and he's described as a very good friend of the main character, but the main character calls him a name that only he can call him because they're so good friends. And I don't know, like, I don't call my best friend weird ableist names just because I'm her best friend. I'm not doing that. So that's the first one, and then later on we have another disabled character, but I think his disability is something he had from birth. And again, Turin is such an ass to him. And spoiler alert, he kills him in the end because he doesn't want to believe the truth that this character is telling him. So yeah, if you're a disabled character in this story, you better watch out because Turin is coming for you. And there is also other things in here, like he's making all the wrong decisions, and he has so many moments of like, oh my god, like all the people I care about die because of me. Let's go and find someone else I can take my curse to. Like, just stop. But oh well. That's Turin for you. So 3 stars for this book, unfortunately, but I'm very glad that it was such a quick read, and the illustrations were quite beautiful. And I mean, it is still Tolkien. I still enjoy the way the story is told. I just hate the character, and just some of the plot points are horrible. So apart from that, I'm currently listening to Bone's Daughter on audio, but I will not talk about it here because I do a whole reading vlog about that series once I finished it, so it's very exciting to get into that now. And then for the Readathon, the Gamenightathon, I'm currently reading the Handsworth Times, and this is a book set in the 80s about an Indian immigrant family in the UK. At the beginning, something very horrible happens. One son is killed during some riots that are happening, and so I'm very intrigued to see where the book goes from here. It's also quite short. It has the fewest ratings on Goodreads, so yeah, we'll see. I have no idea what to expect from this, but it's great to finally have a reason to read it. And now I'm just gonna show you quickly what my board looks like right now, and then I'll update you when something interesting happens. So here is the current board. As you can see, I did quite a good job with this half of the board, and now I have to go into the other direction a little bit and get some of those books read as well.
Was it me, or did your father-in-law basically accuse us of having an affair? Where do you get that idea, right? I'm joking.
Because I feel so much better having it from someone else. We'll always have a suspicion, apparently, about me and my co-worker. You're silly.
Today is the 30th of July, and I do have updates because I finished 2 books yesterday and then I finished 1 book today, so we have a lot to talk about. Now, the first book I will only quickly mention because I'm doing a whole reading vlog with that one, and that would be The Bone-Shard Daughter by Andrea Stewart. I finished it, I really enjoyed it, and I gave it 4 stars. Would definitely recommend if you're into these more fun, adventurous fantasy stories, and especially if you like creatures, because Mephi is everything. So that was great. I will definitely continue on with the series, but I'm taking a short break. So the next book I actually started now is Moon of the Crusted Snow. I need this one for the magical readathon, but I can't tell you why, unfortunately. But yeah, this is a book that I also still need to read for a reading vlog that I have been doing for a month now. It's the last one that I need, so that fit quite nicely. And I think this is kind of a post-apocalyptic thriller horror kind of deal, and it is set in, I think, Canada, in an indigenous community, so on a res, and then the world goes down, I guess. We'll see. So that's my next audiobook, but I don't think I will finish it this month, so I'll probably talk more about that in my August vlogs. And then the other book I finished, I also don't want to talk about for a very long time. It is the Handsworth Times by Sharon. Duggal. I still don't know how to say the name. But unfortunately, I did not like this book. I gave it 2 stars and it put me in such a big reading slump that this is probably the most boring vlog you've ever seen, because I literally did read this for like 12 days or something ridiculous like that. I could not pick it up, and this is 240 pages and I just could not bring myself to read it. It was so boring. I feel like it had so much stuff in here that it did not explore in a good way. There is the death of a child, we have alcoholism, we have being gay in a very homophobic area, we have rape, and on and on and on. This book is full of like horrible things and they're not dealt with in any productive way whatsoever, I think. This book is set in the 80s and I don't like the 80s, I guess. I like the kind of Stranger Things, like glorified 80s, but I don't like the real 80s. Like, that was a shitty time that doesn't need to come back. And yeah, we're following an Indian family in the UK, and they live in this like area that is very impoverished. It is Thatcher times, no one has a job, everything is miserable. And if that sounds like something you would enjoy reading about, maybe this book is for you, but I did not like it. Also, the whole like 80s slang, I just did not like it. I did not like it, I'm sorry. Just like, yeah, 80s Great Britain, miserable times, it's just not for me. And especially when the rape scene happened, I was so detached from this book that I almost rolled my eyes, because I was like, yeah, great, we have another thing we're not gonna deal with in any good way. It's just there to show how horrible the 80s were, and I believe that they were. I don't need a reminder, I guess. So yeah, this was not for me. I really did not like this. Today I finished another book, and this one luckily was much better, and it is Blackout. This is by Dhonielle, Clayton, Nick Stone, Tiffany D. Jackson, Ashley Woodfolk, Angie Thomas and Nicola Yoon. I had read books by Angie Thomas and Nicola Yoon before. I don't think I've read all of the other authors before, but this is a collection of 6 short stories who all take place in the same night when there is a blackout in New York City. There is a heat wave, so it was a great summer read, even though the heat wave here has just passed, unfortunately, because I like it hot. But yeah, we are following 6 different couples. There is some triangle stuff going on and stuff like that. All of these kids are black, so this is kind of a celebration of blackness, of black joy, and yeah, it was really fun. I really enjoyed it. I gave it 4 stars. I think it did exactly what it wanted to do and what I wanted it to do. I hope that they make this into a movie, because I think it could be really cool to see this as a movie as well. Like one of those like episodic ones where at the end there is a big party where everyone comes together and you can do the cute montages and stuff. I think that would work so well, and it would be a missed opportunity if they don't do that. But yeah, from the individual stories, I only gave the story by Angie Thomas 5 stars, and the other ones I gave one of the stories 3 stars and the other ones 4 stars. So overall, I would say a very successful collection, and I would recommend if you're interested, if you're feeling like the light, fluffy, romantic feelings right now, which I realize is not exactly what I should be reading right now. But yeah, that's not the book's fault. So now the next book I want to pick up, and this is going to be the last book for Gamenightathon, and I hope I can finish it by tomorrow, is Ghachar. I don't know how to say it. But yeah, this is a very short book. Now, they say it is madness to do the same thing twice and expect a different outcome. But this is also a story about an Indian family, but I think this one is actually set in India, so I hope that this will not be as horrible as the Handsworth times. This one my best friend gave me. She read it and she was like, hey, maybe you're interested in reading it. So finally getting around to it, and I will update you when the month is over and I hopefully have finished this tiny book. So yeah, apart from that, Last week I went to see Oppenheimer, and tonight I'm going to see Barbie. So all of my like cinema dreams are coming true right now. I loved Oppenheimer. I'm pretty sure I'm gonna be obsessed with Barbie. So yeah, life is good, and I'll talk to you soon. So this is what the board looks like right now. Okay, so here we are. It is the end of the readathon, and I finished one last book last night, and that was Ghochar. This is kind of like a Indian family drama, but it's just a novella, so there is a lot squeezed into a very tiny book. Unfortunately, I don't think that this is something that will really stick in my mind. I decided to give it 3 stars because I didn't hate it, but I also didn't love it, and I think it was interesting enough, especially the kind of twist that we get at the end. It is kind of an open ending, but there is something quite sinister implied at the end, and we don't really know whether it really happened or whether it's just in the head of our main character. But yeah, all of these people in here are pretty much horrible. There is one character that I felt sympathy for, and that is the father of our main character, who is a very hardworking man, and he's kind of appalled by the way his family is run now that he is older and not the main income contributor anymore. But yeah, apart from that, all of these people are pretty horrible. There is like one scene in chapter 2 where I was like, okay, that's how this family is doing things. Okay. So yeah, if you like kind of like shocking families with like horrible people, maybe you will enjoy this. This is also the story of a family that rises from poverty into riches very quickly. So I think it could be also an interesting exploration of that. But yeah, overall, as I said, this will not stick in my memory, I think, apart from the ending, probably. So 3 stars for that. And then for the readathon, I also counted the progress I made with my audiobook, so I got 1 more square out of that, because I'm about 50 pages in if you convert it back into book pages. And that means that by the end of the readathon, I should have 66 points, which I think is kind of fun. I don't mind that I'm like way behind all of the other amazing people who finished the board, which is honestly impressive. There is a lot of people who read like 30, 31, 32 books, and wow, just wow. But I'm very happy. This was a quite quantitatively good reading month, even though I didn't really have like a lot of standout books, I guess. So here's the final board. This is what it looks like. 66 points. But I hope next month I will turn it around again with the magical readathon. I have some amazing books planned for that. So if you enjoyed this vlog, let me know, leave a nice comment, and I will talk to you soon. Bye!